So writing down whenever you receive money, get money, or pay off debt, it's like these little celebrations. That's going to build a lot of momentum, a lot of gratitude, and also eye-opening. Where are the people coming from?
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. With the new year, a lot of us are creating goals for our financial future. And today, Jessica Weaver is going to help you understand how you can create goals to create sustainable wealth and flow in your business and in your life with money. So tune in because this is going to be a really great episode. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Call Me CEO. This is your host, Camille Walker. You are going to love today's episode because we are talking about creating financial flow and how to create more wealth in your life. Now, we have an expert today, Jessica Weaver, who is the author of Confessions of a Money Queen and the founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique, which was one of the fastest growing women financial firms in the country. Jessica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Camille. I am really excited to be here on Call Me CEO. I feel we wake up one day and all of a sudden we are a CEO and we don't know how we got here. And like, who gave us a business? Who gave me a business?
Yes. And it's funny, the reason why I named it Call Me CEO is so many business owners that I talk to don't consider themselves that, or they have like a special name like mom boss or mompreneur or mommy blogger, which is something that I experienced for years. And I'm like, no, you're a CEO. Just call me CEO. So I love that it's something that women are stepping more into of that power. And even women running the business of their lives and their families. I feel like we all are CEOs. So I appreciate you coming and stepping into that role and sharing that with us today.
Thank you for having me. I think that was a big theme over the last year was women stepping out from behind the scenes and kind of owning what they bring to the table and stepping up and asking for it. And I love seeing that. I really love seeing that.
Yeah. Well, that's something that you specifically help women with. I mean, I cannot wait to dig into your story of how this all came to be. So take us back a little bit in the beginning of your story and how you got to be where you are now.
Oh, good. So I started out in the financial industry as an advisor in 2010. I joined my father's firm at the same time as my brother. It was all men in the part of the firm. 80% of the back office support are women. So there were women in the firm, but majority, I want to say 82% of advisors are men. So it's kind of the boys' club. And right away, I didn't really feel like I fit in. And I didn't know quite what to do about it because I didn't want to break my father's heart. This was his dream for his children to follow in his footsteps, to one day take over his firm. But I knew pretty early on it wasn't quite right for me. But I tried to make it work because I love my father. He's been an amazing mentor for me. And I think women fall into this situation a lot of the times. We try to make it work. We force things. We're overly flexible. We'll put some dreams on the back burner just to make it work. And then within a few years, I asked him, can I really just carve out this space for women? I really wanted to get women engaged with money. I could tell women were eager to. They were nipping at the bits to want to participate more in the financial conversation, to help make these big decisions, to not be left in the dark. I do a lot of divorce work or widows. And the worst thing for me to experience is these women getting handed a horrible financial situation and they had no idea it was happening. So he agreed, and I started to carve out, the Women's Wealth Boutique within his firm, having events. I had a blog, Not Your Father's Advisor. Then I started to write my books. I've written 3 books over the last few years. And with each book, I could see there was more traction, more engagement. And that just gave me more energy to keep going and seeing where this was all going to fall. And then over the last year, I actually cut ties with my father's firm. It was an amicable divorce. We
Good.
separated and we launched our very own all-female financial firm. We've brought on over 5 advisors in 9 months. We've had
Wow.
200% growth. We have a waiting list of advisors joining us first quarter of 2023. And the craziest thing is 2 years ago, none of this was on my radar. None of it was on my radar. But all of a sudden, God started lining these things up for me.
Mm.
And he unraveled what wasn't working for me. Some programs, clients, relationships, the broker dealers, the firms we were with, unraveling those things. And I started to talk with different female advisors, and we all had the same issues. So I thought, why not create a home for these women to really step up and shine and to have their voice, build their platform. And if they're supported, I know how much their clients are going to be supported.
Yeah. Ooh, I love it. So specifically speaking to the problems that you were sharing as female financial advisors, what were they? Like, what were the things that you were bumping into that was
Ooh,
relatable in so many ways?
good question. I know I feel like we talk about this so much in my world, but because it is like a boys' club, back in the day, if I showed you a picture of myself when I started out, hair pulled back, very little makeup, black suit, we really were taught to blend in.
To be masculine. Yeah.
Do not take on that masculine energy. Yes. Thank you, Camille. Exactly. And even reaching out to the successful female advisors when I started out, none of them had the time of day for me. It wasn't very welcoming. So I felt very isolated and alienated right away. I think that was part of the problem. It's not a very welcoming industry for women because right away they're like, you need to fit into this box and do what we tell you to do. And it's just men telling us what to do. And especially when I started having children, I'm like, the box isn't working for me anymore.
Right.
I can't work every evening, every Saturday, bend over backwards to meet with clients and prospects. I have kids at home I have to take care of. So that was the one, is just feeling like I had to take on that male masculine energy to make it work, to play by their rules. A lot of us didn't feel heard or validated or valued by our firms. I know I brought a ton of ideas to the table and they just get after rejection after rejection. Like, well, if you're not going to take it, well, I'm going to take it and run with it and see what happens. Even kind of muting us and not allowing us to really speak our truth, share our stories, be vulnerable. I think that's a huge piece of selling, is sharing a vulnerable story. I often share when I went through postpartum depression with my 2 pregnancies and afterwards, so that women know, there are other people going through a tough time too. You can reach out, you can get help. There are people waiting to support you. The men don't want us to share those stories. Like, how dare you? Why would you share that? That's personal. So it's just a very different way of working, I would say.
Ew, there's so much about this that I'm like nodding my head very, very aggressively, because I feel like so much of the feminine energy that we have to bring to the table is just now starting to be understood as a strength, where forever it's been, no, you keep all emotion close to the chest. This is business. This is professional. We don't share anything personal. And I think like what you're saying, especially with sales or with creating a relationship, there has to be some vulnerability there to create the trust, where I think that that's something on the feminine where that can be such a strength and bring so much success.
Oh, I agree. You're right. It's a bonding. It's just this exchange. It brings you closer. It builds the trust, as you said, Camille. It's very true. Women, we're so good at relationships, which is why women make amazing advisors. But to embrace that, nurture those relationships, we're very compassionate, empathetic. We're great listeners. We take the time. It's not a transaction, right? I want to work with you your entire life. I want to work with your children, your grandchildren, on and on. And that should be embraced instead of it almost felt like we were putting part of ourselves in a closet. And I remember waking up one year and like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. And if my younger self saw me, what would they say? what would they say? It's almost like your light is dimmed. And like, how do I get that light back on? How do I turn it back on and get it glowing and growing again?
And that's something that you are an expert in after going through it yourself and writing your books. And so today specifically, what I really wanted to pull from you was how to forecast plans and wealth goals and how to create a mindset where you can create that flow and connection to who you are. So I'm so excited to hear what you have to share with that, because I feel like that's so relatable.
Yes. And that, as we started off, I feel this is the time for women. Like our time is now. We're stepping into our own. We're embracing the feminine energy. We're embracing our emotions instead of trying to just shove them down and suppress them for so long, which only leads to depression and acting out, frustration, stress, on and on. My 3-part approach, and this is what we do with all of our advisors and even our clients. First, I start with the spiritual side. And this is what saved me during my postpartum depression. This is what saves me every day, and allows me to be able to grow so fast without freaking out. Let's be honest. I mean, to move from being a part of somebody else's firm to then launching your own and going no employees to a team of 5 with over 10 advisors joining you almost every month. So much change. I've had to lean on God, or you call universe, a higher self, whoever it is that you talk to, that you pray to. That to me is always my grounding force, but also allows me to really fly and go free. So every morning I spend an hour, and I call it a daily money practice, where I come into my office after dropping I have 2 young kids off, so it's a little chaotic. Then I get into my quiet office. I read, I journal, I meditate. I just spend time with God and myself to listen, mostly, whether to ask for help. But I think for us to turn everything off and just be and listen gives me inspiration for our blogs, our books, social media, right? All of our content, ideas, solutions. I encourage everybody to just create that space where you can be vulnerable, you can cry, you can tear apart a letter, you can vent, and then you can also listen and receive. And that's been a huge shift for me, Camille, is moving from doing and go, go, go to now being, and balancing the two. Yes, tackling the to-do list, but also being and celebrating, asking for help, listening has been a huge shift for me. As we hear alignment a lot now, that's a huge buzzword. That allows me to start my day in alignment and really grounded. So that's what even our events, whether it's for our advisors or clients, we usually start with a meditation, a breath work, some sort of grounding exercise to allow us to kind of open up, recharge, and heal. And then the second part after the spiritual is the creative side. We have been told by society, our parents, spouses, peers, everybody, what we should be doing and living up to their expectations. And it's kind of forced us into this little box, we often refer it to. And we wake up one day like, this isn't my dream that I'm chasing. This isn't my version of success. I want something simpler, or I want something bigger. So stripping away all that outside noise and getting to the core of, what could it all be? And this is my favorite thing to do with our advisors. Like, I see you writing a book. I see you having a radio talk show on divorce. I see you doing this, and getting them to dream bigger than they probably ever have thought before. Or maybe they did, but they were just scared to admit it out loud or write it down, and to get those creative juices flowing again. And being creative energizes me. I don't know about you, Camille, but right? And being more playful. I think that's another thing our society has told us, that work is serious. You need to be professional. But where's the play side of it?
Yeah. Where's the fun?
Where's the fun? And when I have more fun, I end up earning more money, and I'm more relaxed. I'm better having conversations with my clients, grounding them, removing their stress and stuff. So then we see, how can we have more play, celebration, and be more creative with our work? And the last part is practical. the practical side of money. How are we building out an asset for you, an income stream, multiple income streams? What do we do with the money as it comes into your world? Where are you really focusing on growing? Where does money come easy to you? And that's what everybody who's listening or watching, the first thing you can do is go home and see, where does money come easy to me? Where does it just seem to flow in? Or opportunities, maybe relationships. Where is it coming and where is it growing the fastest? Those are two clues that God, your higher self, are trying to give you of where to focus, because money shouldn't be hard. We shouldn't feel like we're fighting every day to earn more money. We shouldn't feel drained to earn more money. So where does it come quick and easily?
Okay. Yeah. I'm right. Yes. I'm like, let's break this down. So we have our hourly practice for meditation, spirituality, journaling. For the creative piece, is that something that you try to incorporate daily, or is that a practice that you would suggest that someone do like quarterly, or what? Do you have a practice around that? Give me some ideas.
Ooh, yes. You carving out time to, and this is again part of that being still, instead of we're overwhelmed by our to-do list, and that's going to block the creative flow. So where can you carve out space? And I like having somebody to talk things through with.
Yeah.
A new perspective. So have that partner, coach. My creative director and I, we meet weekly, like bouncing ideas around. So who's somebody that can pull that out of you? Because a lot of times we block ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love my creative director, Alyssa. She's every time, go big or go home. That's her response to everything. I'm like, is this idea a little too crazy? She's like, go big or go home. Who's that girl? Your cheerleader, your go-to girl.
Yeah.
Your ride or die, that's got your back and that can pull those ideas out from you. Sometimes it could be in the same industry, but you might even want somebody who's outside your industry, especially for financial advisors. All we think of is compliance and regulation, and that's going to block a lot of the flow. So yeah, carving out time on your schedule, weekly, monthly, definitely more than quarterly, and have that, thinking outside the box. Writing, the money practice to me always spurs some sort of creative piece, whether it's my next presentation or a blog, podcast, my next book. That just opens up the juices to start flowing again.
I love that. So for the number 3, where it's looking at places that money comes easily for you, what are some examples of things that you've helped walk people through these steps and they've been surprised to see, or maybe examples of money flow where they've been like, oh, I guess that is a great way for me, or I just didn't see it. Do you have examples of that?
Yes. So a great exercise to do is to start having a money journal or a money miracle journal where you can write down whenever something amazing happens to you. I won a $5 lottery ticket. My aunt just gifted me $1,000, or this money just fell on my lap. I got a bonus, right? Writing down all the different ways that the universe actually, God, is sending you money. We tend to forget. A lot of times, Camille, it's our mindset, which we're talking about. We're focusing on our goals and what we don't have yet. So we're focusing on the lack. I really want to pay off this debt. So our mind is occupied with this debt. And what is the debt showing us? The amount of money we don't have yet. And when we're focused on that, we're blocking money. And we're not showing gratitude for the money that actually is coming in. So writing down whenever you receive money, get money, or pay off debt, it's like these little celebrations. That's going to build a lot of momentum, a lot of gratitude, and also eye-opening. Where are the people coming from? About this point last year, all of a sudden, I signed up. It's so silly too. I signed up for this email marketing campaign. And I told the people, the company, my ideal client are corporate women, close to retirement. They started sending me financial advisors, female financial advisors. I'm like, why do you keep sending me these women? That's what I am. I can't help them. They're very nice ladies, but it's a waste of my time, their time. And every time I told them, I just got more and more. And so finally, I was like, God, why are you sending me all these female financial advisors? I don't know what to do with them. I knew there must have been something there that I was supposed to work with them. And I had a call with one advisor, and she had left her father's firm. And a light bulb went off in my head. I could leave my father's firm and we could still have a relationship. It's not that going to be the end of the world. The very next day, Camille, I had a call with an advisor, and she goes, you need to change your framework. You need to be more open architect, because
Mm.
every firm, I had so many issues with my books, podcasts, any creative idea I wanted to do, they just shut it down right away. Change your framework. So I'm like, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. These two ladies helped me, and I'm starting my own firm. But then they kept coming. Why are they still coming? And it really was the whole goal all along. I had no idea, was to build a platform for female advisors. So look at who's coming to you, right? The universe, they're trying to send you people, opportunities. Maybe it's speaking opportunities. Maybe it's a certain kind of relationship, client. What is it? And start, I don't know, like doubling down there, taking the risk, focusing in on where they're coming from, and just go with it. It's the flow, right? Move into that receiving flow of it. I don't know if does that answer your question, Camille?
It actually really does. In fact, there are a couple things that you said that I relate to, because I know someone had said once, if you're focusing on the things you don't have, then that's blocking, like you said, the money or the energy of receiving. Where if you're in a mindset of gratitude for the things that you have, or even naming it as the future things that you will have, it's allowing that to come in to your life, because you're focusing on the gratitude and what you have, the plenty. And so that will create a channel of creating more of that plenty, because it's where your mindset is. And I think that having a daily gratitude practice in that way really does change our thinking. So I love that you're saying to focus on that, because it's like, what's working, what's flowing, because you want more of that. So that's what you should focus on.
Yes. And there's the spiritual side of, right, the gratitude. It's one of the quickest ways to fall into alignment, laws of the universe, laws of attraction, right? Receiving. But there's also now the science behind it, where as you think more on the money that you have in the gratitude, it's creating new brain pathways every time you do it. And it's going to help position your brain, your mind, to see opportunities to bring more of that into your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be the same opportunities that have been in your world, but your mind's just been so focused on the lack and what's keeping you stuck where you are. Now it's like taking the blinders off. Like, oh, there's so many different possibilities. And that's kind of where the creative side also comes into play as
Ooh,
well.
I love that. What a cool experience. I mean, I'm thinking about this from your perspective of like being with your dad forever for all of those years and thinking, this is my ride and die, probably my path for forever. And then recognizing the opportunities of these women coming to you, and especially meeting someone with a father who left the group.
Chances?
Like, I know, I'm just like, that is so cool. So I'm curious for people that, and especially with writing your book and talking with women, what have been some of the number one blocks as far as mindset goes that have come up for people, and how have you been able to help them overcome those blocks?
Ooh, worth is a huge one for women. Worth. And it's for me too. And you tend to notice that as you're a business owner, CEO, you tend to attract the people that are similar to you or are where you used to be. And for worth, it was always like the guilt of, increasing your prices, asking for more money, guilt and feeling greedy, even though we know the more money I earn, the more money our advisors can earn, the more people we can help, support, the ripple effect of it. So definitely worth, and flip-flopping back and forth, which that just means, right, you're almost fighting against yourself. There's a lot of inertia and friction there. I would also say taking the risk. Women tend to fall into what is familiar and secure, similar roles that they witness, whether it's their mom or the women around them, and feeling like I'm going to almost sabotage or jeopardize our family by taking this risk. And I don't know if men have the same problem as we do, but it's not just my decision, right? We're making a decision for our entire family. And there's a huge burden that we put on ourselves when we take into account our family. And even myself, leaving my father's firm, I had a lot of conversations with my husband about, like, are you okay if I do this? Like, the money, it's going to be shaky at first, like with any startup. And him saying, no, this is what you have to do, just showed me that he had the confidence in myself that I probably didn't even have yet
Mm.
as well. So I think you have to have that tribe, that squad that are going to support you and keep you going and are going to keep pushing you to elevate, give you the reality checks, the gut punches, but also be there to cheer you on when you need them to. So I would say worth and taking the risk are two huge ones that women, I think they are overcoming. There definitely is a movement with them overcoming it. And that makes me very excited for my daughter when it's her turn. And hopefully that glass ceiling is shattered by then.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. So for you personally, is that something that you have had? You mentioned your husband that helped you to help with the mindset piece. Have you had coaches as well that have helped you with that? Or what has helped you to be able to attain
Oh,
getting over
yes.
those things of the roadblocks of worth and, risk and fear and all of those things?
Yes. I started working with business coaches for 6 or so years ago. And I grew up in sports, so I always loved that team approach and having a coach, whether it's the team coach or a shooting coach, a one-on-one. Loved having both and having the community. So I always have a coach. The years I don't have a coach, I notice
Mm,
mentally, emotionally, I notice a hit. But then also income-wise, I grow, but I'll grow like 10, 20%. But the years I have a coach and I'm really in investing, I have skin in the game, our growth is 100, 200%. So there's a huge difference
yeah.
for myself. My coach also works with my entire team. Because if you have somebody on your team that is struggling with their own mindset,
Hmm.
it's going to pull down the entire
Yeah.
team. It's going to block your money flow. And sometimes you don't realize it until you let go of that person if they are just so negative and just sucking the life out, or until you get that mindset corrected. You don't see how much it is affecting your business, even your attention, your stress levels. So I invest in my team's growth as well.
That's smart.
Right.
What a smart
Mm-hmm.
thing to do. So flipping the script a little bit on what we're talking about here for those of us who are listening and thinking about our own financial health and growth into the future, what are some of your top tips of growing wealth and sustainable wealth for women in business or just individuals as people? Like, what are some of the best, like, top tips you would give someone with building wealth right now?
Ooh, so these are what we go into in Confessions of a Money Queen. We actually have 10 of them that we talk about in Money Queen. And I love that you use the word sustainable because that is my whole goal. We have, these money moves that we use with all of our clients, even our advisors now. They're proven. You start small and you just keep building the momentum that way. And there are a lot of professionals out there, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman. They're great because they make people aware, but they also feel very restrictive to me.
Mm-hmm.
They work for some people, but I don't want to force somebody into a budget and then it's like dieting, right? You can't eat anything all day long. And then the next day you're binge eating.
Right.
I can't buy anything the entire month, but the month before I'm going to stock up and I'm already thinking about the next month, all the things I'm going to, going to buy
Yeah.
and
It's
shop on.
overwhelming. Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming. It's too much. So every time we start with one money move and then we build onto the next one. So it's a plan that can grow and mature with you as you go through. But we always start, one of my first is our stable money saver. And it builds stability into your life. And it really works well for business owners because our income can fluctuate so much.
Mm-hmm.
We have our highs, we have our lows. So you can have an overflow account that you can tap into. But the whole goal behind the system is that you don't feel restricted or deprived or desperate for the next paycheck, because we never want to show up to a sales meeting with a prospect with that desperate energy. I need the sale. We want it to really be an exchange of love and gratitude and an opportunity. So what we do is we build out, what are your financial goals? Is it to buy a house? Is it to get office space? Is it to retire one day? And then we align a bucket or an account with each goal. And we start with just 1%. So 1% of our money goes into the bucket. And then we raise it. Can we do 2%? And the reason we start that way, Camille, is, well, everybody can give up 1%. Right? 1%. It's like one less coffee, one less dinner out. to move it in, and you don't feel desperate or deprived, but it gets you started, and that momentum is huge. And to build a new behavior takes 63 days. So we wanted you to be doing this for 63 days, and then we can increase it and we can increase it. And then as you hit the different goals, you can now funnel the money into the next bucket. It works great if you're in debt or you want to focus on paying off your debt, but it also works to continue to build assets so you can get out of debt and stay out of debt, which is huge. So everybody who's listening, you could just start opening up, get clear on your financial goals, open up accounts, and just move 1% of your money in. And then challenge yourself. And this is why a lot of our clients work with me, that accountability. Can we raise it to 2%, 3%, and keep going? And it keeps your expenses in line, allows you to keep building assets and saving more money all along.
Oh, I love that. I think that that very much is in alignment with Atomic Habits, or something where it's like starting small and stacking at a very sustainable rate. I think that's fantastic advice.
Ooh, that's a good comparison. I love that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. You can use it. So I'm curious too, with Confessions of a Money Queen, when you were writing that book, was that before you opened your own financial firm? Was that something that you had already, because you said this is your third book you've written. So
Yes.
was that something that you were like, okay, well, I want to keep writing these books. What came first, where that came out and then you were like, oh, and now I'm opening this firm? Or was it in reverse?
Good question. It came before we started the firm. I wrote it in 2020 in a week. So
What?
all my other books, they took a few months. I was actually pregnant with my kids with my first two books. And this book came to me. I just had my second child. It was a COVID pandemic, and I was still part of my father's firm, and we were switching broker dealers. So it was probably the busiest time in my life besides this year launching the firm. And it felt like God said, you need to put everything on pause and get this book out. And I remember I'd be driving home from work and I would have to pull over and I would be typing on my Google Docs app, trying to get the thing out, or I would do a voice recording and transcribe it. I did that a lot. So on that Friday, I said to my husband, I have 8 chapters written in my new book. And he goes, I didn't even know you were writing a book. And secondly, we're not having another kid with this book. Like, I agree. We had babies with the first 2 books. It's stressful enough. And then I didn't really know what to do with it. So I kind of sat on the book for a few months. We finished up our transition to the new broker dealer. And right away, I was having issues with the broker dealer with this new book. And of course, it was Confessions of a Money Queen that started to unravel this whole part of my career so that I could be where I am today. I swear God does that when we keep trying to force something or go down a door we're not supposed to go, and he will shut that door in our face to get us back on track. So finally, I was able to launch it that next summer, and that started the transition to opening up this new firm. So Money Queen, Confessions of a Money Queen, really did set the stage for our new firm.
Wow. That is so cool. I love that it's so much this flow that you've accepted it into your life and you feel so directed by God, because I feel like that's something that can come relatively easily for some and can also be really hard for others. Do you feel like that's something that you have developed over time that's like you've had to work on, or do you feel like that's something that's been relatively easy for you to feel that flow?
It's definitely been a practice, and it still is a practice in growing in the trust, because it's easy for me to say it now with a smile on my face, but I swear when it was happening,
right,
I was in tears. I was so angry. And you don't even realize how exhausted all of that. When you are in resistance and fighting, the exhaustion, how much it hits you. And then you also go through a period of time when you need to just heal after that. So you've been in this boxing match. You feel like your nervous system has been a punching bag. This anxiety, you can't take it anymore, and you need that period of time to heal and rest. I've seen it with our advisors. If they've gone through some trauma with their old firm or even just regular drama, there's a period of time where, like, where are the people, where are the clients? Like, oh, I just needed to heal. I needed to almost reset my nervous system, and then I can build from there with it. So it's a huge act of trust, and it's something that I try to deepen every day and continue to work on.
Oh, that reminds me a lot of some advice that I heard once that I loved that said something like, Mother Earth is our perfect example of going through seasons of our life.
Mhm.
And even Mother Earth takes a season to recover. Winter is a time of rest and in creation for that renewal in spring. And isn't that what we're meant to mimic is the seasons, or like the
That's
phases of the
beautiful.
moon, so it's all part of it. So I love that you say that piece of it.
Yes, we too. And I'm like this. The like one project's done, let's go for the next one. Let's keep tackling, let's keep climbing. But then the burnout, and I noticed it having kids, and I don't want to be the mom that's too tired on the couch at the end of the day. I want to be on the ground playing with them. So I do need to balance out the resting, the healing, and this is a prayer that I'll say if I have a busy week. I'm like, God, take off anybody who does not need to be on my calendar this week. Is there
Mm.
something that I don't need to go to? Clear out that space. And that happened at the beginning of this week. And it was so nice to be able to get some things done, gearing up for 2023, having time for myself, getting outside, getting some fresh air. And before I used to try to control them. Like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. I need to get them back on the calendar. I'm like, oh, now I have a free time. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that it's not necessarily a bad thing. So one thing that I want to make sure with one thing that we talked about that we were going to share is forecasting plans and wealth goals. Can you tell me what that means exactly, with how you would interpret that description?
Yeah, so we recently just did this with all of our advisors. We met with them and we're like, what's our baseline? And this is the biggest piece for any goals is what's the baseline, right? You can't say I'm going to lose 20 pounds, but never step on the scale to begin with, right? How are you going to measure it?
Mm.
What's our baseline? And then what are the metrics that you want us to measure your growth? Not everybody wants to just grow based on their income. Maybe they want to be more efficient. Maybe they want to earn the same amount of money, but work less. So
Mm-hmm.
what are the metrics? Maybe you want more speaking engagements, more points of contact, grow your email list, your following. So we got, our baseline, and then how do we want to measure our own growth? And what do we want to see at the end of the next year when we're having the same conversation? Maybe the goal is to hire somebody or get office space. There's so many different variables. I don't
Yeah.
want your goals stuck in a box with you. I want it to be aligned with your values and priorities. But to me, the biggest piece is the tracking and the accountability to it. So how can we track these metrics on a monthly, quarterly basis to see, are we moving in the right direction? You don't want to wake up 10 years from now and be like, I'm nowhere near my goal. I haven't taken any steps towards it. And I'm just frustrated. And now I have to make up for lost time. So if there is a problem or strategy isn't working, we can identify it so much quicker to realign and get back on track to where we need to be. It's the same thing we do with our clients with tracking sheets. Is it the markets? Is it you? Are you taking money out of your accounts? Is it poor performance? What's the reason and how do we fix it quicker for it? So getting your baseline, aligning your goals with your priorities, and what is a way you can track it monthly and quarterly, and who's going to be there to hold you accountable to it, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that seems like a framework for a lot of goals that we have is where are we starting? Where do we want to end up? And who's going to help you get there? Because those are all questions that need to be asked and answered. Well, this has been so helpful. I'm going to ask some rapid fire questions to you that I think would relate to your field. So first is, how do you like to calendar your personal and professional life? Do you have like an app that you use or paper planner? Like, what do you like to do?
That is a great question. I use my Google Calendar and I do block off. So my week for work, Mondays are my team check-in days. So I check in with my team. Fridays, I leave blank for overflow or for maybe fun things I want to do with work. And I try to meet up with my husband before we pick up the kids from school and daycare on Fridays afternoons. And then I only meet with clients Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and advisors. And this is what I tell our advisors too. Think of the peak of your day. When do you have the most energy? Is it the morning? For me, it's like early afternoon, midday. Is it at night? That's when you should be meeting with your prospects. You shouldn't be meeting with them as your energy is coming down or you're just gearing up. Like when you're really in the flow, you've warmed up, you're ready to go, you're energized. That's when you should be scheduling those meetings and things. Before, I would meet with people anytime and there was no real rhyme or reason to my schedule. So being able to have certain days for certain tasks has been a life changer for me.
Ooh, I love that. I do a very similar thing too, where I do my coaching and my interviews Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Monday, I block for personal because that's like my house and family and like recovering from the weekend. And Friday, I keep open too for just like those things that pop up. So I love that you do that. Okay. Next one. How do you like to spend time and bond with your kids?
Oh, we do a lot of dance parties.
Fun.
To me, that gets a lot of energy and stress out at the end of the day, end of the night. We could just be really silly and things. My daughter's getting really into dolls and Barbies, so I like kind of reenacting how my kids are to her when she plays mom, and I get to give her a taste of her own medicine.
That's hilarious.
We do a lot of cooking crafts with each other. We love when it's nice out going to the beach and swimming and being outside, running. I put them in my double stroller and we'll go all through the neighborhood and things like that.
Oh, I love that. What is a favorite book that you've read recently?
Ooh, what is a favorite book? I have to hold on, bear with me. Let me see. Go to my Kindle library. Let me see. What was my let's see. I recently read The Big Leap, Gay Hendrick. I read that twice in a row to really soak it all in.
That would be a good one for you this year.
The Upper Barrier, that has saved me time. I'm like, clearly there's an upper barrier right now. I'm stressed. I am going nuts. I feel stuck. I'm preventing myself from moving to the next level, and learning how to adapt and break through those upper barriers has been a lifesaver for me.
Oh, that's cool. I need to read that one. I've had it on my to read list forever. So
it's a quick read. And I read another one of his that was very good as well. Yeah, I read that back to back twice in a row, and I probably should read it every year.
Yeah, I've heard wonderful things. What is one of your favorite apps or games to play on your phone? If you have like a free minute and you're like brain, whatever, like I'm just going to sit on my phone for a minute, what do you go to?
Oh, that's a good question. If I'm reading something, it'll be my Kindle app. Every morning I do usually pop onto YouTube and see who my favorite, like Abraham Hicks, those people, what are they saying? Give me a little lift. And then probably Instagram.
Okay, cool.
I don't really play games much.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, this has been so helpful. I can't wait to read your book. And for everyone that doesn't have their hands on it yet, where can they find your book and how can they connect with you?
Oh, sure. JessicaWeaver.com. You can get a weekly blog, Not Your Father's Advisor, all three of our books, Confessions of a Money Queen. You can go on there and get the free audio version of Confessions of a Money Queen at JessicaWeaver.com. And then for Instagram and Facebook at PinkFixMyMoney. PinkFixMyMoney.
Very cool. Well, we'll make sure to link to all of those. And this has been such a fantastic episode. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Camille. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please subscribe and leave a review. Reviews are huge for podcasts, and it's a huge thank you to me so that other people can discover it here on podcasts as well. Please reach out to me on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast, and thank you for your support with this show. If you are looking for any free resources, or you're looking for coaching in business or in helping you find a virtual assistant to help you free up some time, please reach out to me at CamilleWalker.co. Under coaching, you can set up a free discovery call with me, and I'd love to help walk you through how I can help you achieve success in your business.